Hey guys, welcome back to the CulePodcast. Welcome back to another video. On today's video, we're going to be looking at some reports from the media discussing the relationship between Barcelona and Nike, as there is some news on that front. And then as well, we're going to be looking at two player transfers. We're going to be talking about Frankie de Jong and as well as another Spaniard in Dani Olmo. But guys, before I get started on the video, make sure to follow me on all of my social media platforms. Everything's posted down below in the description. Go over there and check me out. That way you guys can stay up to date with everything that I do on the channel. But guys, let's get straight into it and let's talk about Barcelona and Nike, because these two, I would say like companies. Well, I mean, Barcelona isn't really a company, like the club and Nike. They're close to negotiating a mega contract, and it's currently very advanced. And in the last video that I basically, spoke about, in Barcelona and Nike, I said that the relationship between the two, it was basically broken and there was no coming back. But it seems that isn't the case. And, Barcelona and Nike, they seem to be reaching an agreement. And, Barcelona right now, Nike, they're offering Barcelona 120 million euros per season, including bonuses for the next 10 years. And, Nike, they're also offering a signing on bonus of 100 million euros. And, this is very important because that would, help the club a lot right now in the present. And, over the next 10 years, which is going to be the length of that contract, Barcelona will be earning 1.2 billion because, in 10 years, 120, multiply that by 10, 1.2 billion. And, my thoughts on this whole situation is, hey, whoever offers the most amount of money, whether that be Nike, whether that be Puma, I want to sign that contract. And it's that simple. Barcelona, the amount of shirts and merchandising that we sell, it's number one in the world. And when you talk about footballing, and so if we are selling crazy amounts of jerseys, merchandise, etc., we should have a contract that reflects that. And Nike losing Barcelona would be a big blow to them, as Barcelona is one of the biggest clubs in world football, and that isn't in Nike's favor. And Barcelona putting some pressure on Nike, saying, hey, if you don't raise up the contract, Barcelona, we are going to terminate this. Then it seems to have worked out. And whatever happens from here on out, I just hope that Barcelona, they get the best possible deal, and Laporta as well gets the best possible deal that he can get for Barcelona. But guys, definitely let me know your guys' thoughts on on the current situation between Barca and Nike. Are you guys a little bit disappointed that Barcelona they're not going to be switching over to another brand such as Puma, or are you guys maybe, for example, thinking, hey, I don't want Puma, I don't want Nike, I could potentially want maybe like an Adidas or an Under Armour? Definitely let me know your guys' thoughts down below in the comments. But now, guys, I'll be talking about Frankie de Jong, as Bayern Munich want the Dutchman. And, currently Bayern Munich, they're, exploring the possibilities of signing Frankie de Jong. Frankie de Jong has said time and time again that he's comfortable at Barcelona. He wants to stay at the club. And, him himself, he's said this multiple times, but Barcelona, they're looking to, and they can accept an offer if one were to come. We've talked about this, time and time again throughout the channel. Frankie de Jong is one of those players on that transfer list that could be sold for big money. But the problem here is that Barcelona, they've put the price at 60 million or 70 million. That is coming from a report from Ravello, and it says this: the player is comfortable in Barcelona, but the club welcomes a good offer for him, at least 60 or 70 million plus a salary saved, which would solve more than half of their financial problems. Now, I think 60 to 7 million for a player like Frankie de Jong is way too cheap. When you're looking at how Everton, guys, when I saw this report, I was absolutely mind blown. Everton, they want 70 million for Amadou Onana. 70 million. That's absolute robbery. Now, Everton, they're fighting a relegation battle, but for 70 million for a player who's, hasn't really won anything in his career, and, hasn't been really blown up in world football, I think that's just robbery. Chelsea are actually in the race for Amadou Onana as well as Barcelona. But if a player like him is going for 70 million, I'm sorry, Frankie de Jong, looking at how Declan Rice went for like over 100, you're looking at how Enzo went, bro. 100 million for Frankie de Jong minimum. I don't want to see these figures of 60 to 7 million. Just the only problem is that a Premier League club is not the one interested in him, it's Bayern Munich. And Bayern Munich, they're not going to be shelling out insane amounts of money. They already spent 100 million on Harry Kane. If they want Araujo, that's going to be another 100 million. And then when you look at Frankie de Jong, that's another 100 million. And so, Bayern Munich, they don't have the money to spend like crazy. But, talking about Frankie de Jong and whether I would want to see him go, here's the thing. Frankie de Jong is a very, very good player. And I want to say that there. But how many big-time performances and how many clutch performances has Frankie de Jong gone? Has Frankie de Jong performed in that you said, wow, Barcelona, they cannot survive without Frankie de Jong? And, that just hasn't been the case. I know Frankie de Jong, he's a very good player. Just the thing is, in his position, which is really sort of like a hybrid interior / pivot, where he isn't really like a full pivot, he isn't like a full interior, sort of like, I would say, hybrid, that position, we do have players that can play there. We have Gundogan, we have Pedri, we have we have Gavi, and now since Barcelona, they're looking to bring in Alex Garcia, for example, Mikel Merino from Real Sociedad as well. Frankie de Jong, it wouldn't be the end of the world if we sold him. For example, losing Lamine Yamal or selling Ronald Araujo. I think that would be a bigger loss than selling Frankie de Jong. And that money, which we would get for Frankie de Jong, we could use it to actually go for a pivot. Which talking about the pivot search and talking about priorities in the midfield, I will be talking about Dani Olmo, guys, because this report has come out from Mundo Deportivo, and it said that Barcelona have started the Dani Olmo operation to be one of the signings of the summer transfer window. The club is very serious about it. His agents and his father recently met with Deco, and there were good sensations from that meeting. The agents already know that Olmo is his clear objective for the summer. And that Barcelona's objective is to approach the signing before the Euros, if possible. He currently has a 60 million euro release clause with RB Leipzig, and they will negotiate wanting to be able to play in installments. Barcelona need income, though. Of course, we talked about this, either by sales or through sponsorship. They hope that with the good relations Danny and his agents have with RB Leipzig, solutions can be found for the payment. Guys, we do not need Dani Olmo. It's simple as that. Dani Olmo is a luxury player, and he's a very, very good player at that. But if Barcelona have 60 million euros to spend, guys, we're not going to be spending that amount of money on, I would say, a sort of like Bernardo Silva type X player where he can play, on the wings maybe, or play like in, like a false nine role, attacking midfielder in that position. That's just not going to be the case. If, we've talked about Bernardo Silva, we talked about Dani Olmo, is Barcelona going to keep Joao Felix? What's going to happen with Joao Cancelo? These are 4 players that are on Barcelona's radar. And, Barcelona don't have infinite funds, to sign everyone and anyone. We have to have our priorities, and the current priorities are as simple as this. A pivot, a CDM who's natural in that role and who can play that role excellently, and then a left winger who we have none at the club. Rafinha's resurgence, where you could potentially play left winger, could solve that issue, and so you could maybe say, hey, left winger isn't really that much of an importance, but is Rafinha going to stay in that position with the next coach? Who is the next coach going to be? Which sentence is the next coach going to ask? I don't like this report talking about Dani Olmo. I think he's just an excess, and he's not really needed at the club. But this is no dig or criticism of Dani Olmo. I think he's a fantastic player. I think he would fit in Barcelona really well. I think he'd perform really well. Just the thing is, when you're looking at Barcelona's priorities, Dani Olmo just isn't on that list. His position is not. His position isn't really needed in this current squad. But guys, let me know your guys' thoughts on all of the things I've discussed. What do you guys make of Barcelona negotiating with Nike? And it seems everything is back on. And what do you guys make of Bayern Munich's intent to sign Frankie de Jong, and as well as Barcelona's intent to sign Dani Olmo? Definitely let me know your guys' thoughts on everything that I've discussed on today's video. And as always, guys, thank you guys all for watching. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys who tune into my videos to watch them, and catch